That one up there?
Yeah.
Yep. Press that before. All right, and we are live. Let me bring up some questions that we've received and we'll get into things. Again, hello to everyone just joining. Ask questions in the comments. We've got Jake and Phoebe for a podcast episode. I'm going to put the camera on you guys now because
Way away from you, aren't I?
you're the important ones. All right, hello and welcome back to the Foxy Property Chat podcast. Jake, Phoebe, how are we on this Wednesday?
You first.
I would have called in sick if I worked for someone today, so I have a stiff neck and a bung eye, so I'm great.
Well, I'm better than that. So.
I don't set the bar very high. Anyway.
Right at home, home staging says hello team. Hey team, hello.
Hey,
how are you guys?
How are we?
All right, well let's it's just a bit of general chit chat. How's the last week and a half gone?
While you've been gone?
The boys back at school, your
Yeah.
boys?
They are back at school, grades 1 and 3 now. That's
Yep.
gone fast, but the week's been good. A busier week this week.
And last week we had public holiday on Thursday and the team was off. We gave everyone the day off on Friday, so long weekend. You've been away since
I have.
Wednesday as well
Yep.
for the week.
So we went down to Melbourne. Kirsten and I went down to Melbourne last
yeah.
week,
How was
and it was fantastic. So we went and visited a hope of suppliers, found an amazing, really awesome new supplier that has just started up down there. They are servicing Australia wide.
Who's
and
that?
Elm,
Or you?
no, I'm not one to keep secrets.
Yeah.
Elm Living. So they're fantastic. So just let us know if you want their number. I highly recommend them. I was really impressed with their showroom, and I did place a significant order.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
I saw that one.
And we've just had our delivery actually this morning arrive from Albi, so that was good. Get all the new season.
7 pallets ready to be unboxed. Lovely.
Yeah, so it did well there too. But it's been a hot week.
Yeah, stinking.
Yeah, gross.
The
Tomorrow's
beach has
supposed to be
been
34.
nice in New South Wales, so it was
Yeah, it was
lovely. All right, let's jump into the questions. Claire Jurin, Interiors, would love to know your go-to solution for hanging wall art. What do you think is the best fixture, and how do you overcome clients' reluctance to drill holes?
So I think we've done a blog post on this. Where we've got photos of everything. So if you jump onto our blog, you'll be able to search that. But honestly, as far as a go-to goes, it really just depends on the weight of the artwork. So we refuse to use 3M hooks. Any of those hooks that will come off, any of those temporary hooks, we don't use them. We'll have a very transparent conversation with our vendors about that, because what ends up happening, especially up here in the humidity, they fall down and our artwork breaks, and it also causes damage to the property. So we save everybody heartache by just saying no to the 3M temporary hooks. Instead, what we do are permanent fixtures. We have little gold hooks for artwork that is less than 2 kilo, and then we've got gyprock plugs with screw for anything that is bigger than that, and masonry nails for anything that's tricky and hard like a brick.
And what's your conversation for people who don't want or ask about or are hesitant to use put holes in the wall?
So we don't go crazy with artwork. So that's one of the big. Firstly, I acknowledge their concerns, and I totally understand they've just spent all that money on getting a house repainted and it's looking brand new and fresh. But artwork is integral to pulling everything together. So to draw the eye up, to make sure that we're distracting from anything that we need to distract from, to making sure it looks like an end finished product, we do need the artwork. Some people describe it like icing on the cake, that it's not a finished product. For me, my recommendation is I would have worries about going ahead with the styling. My recommendation would be probably not to go ahead with the styling if you're not willing to have the artwork come in. That's how important it is to us. And we have had clients that I've had that conversation with before. If they are very, very non-negotiable on the artwork, we don't negotiate. We don't go to 3M hooks. What we'll do is we'll do things like floor mirrors or put stuff on console tables, things like that. Those situations arise when it's an integrated style. They have literally just spent $15,000, $20,000 on having the interior of their home painted, and if it doesn't sell, they're still going to live there. It's not an investment property. So that's generally been those conversations when they're being had. But yeah, it doesn't. You can't get around it all the time, and I totally understand where people are coming from. I think it's having that empathy for their viewpoint as well.
What about the comment? And this is something that I know that the agents talk about, but so do you, around when it sells, it's part of the property. So people, so
it's in the sales contract. So basically anything that's in a wall is classified as one of the fixtures and fittings that is sold in the house. The only time that not in Queensland, I don't know about the rest of Australia. The only time that is not the case is when it's a new build. In a new build, they do need to replicate it as being brand new, so that those hooks and fixtures do come out of the wall, is patched and painted and presented as new to the buyers when they move in. In a pre-loved existing home, you're buying a home with all of its love marks, and that includes fixtures and fittings, curtains, light fixtures, mirrors on the walls in the bathrooms, all those types of things, as well as hooks for artwork.
And the reason that that's even worth saying is because sometimes the seller is concerned that a potential buyer won't want the hooks.
Yeah.
So you're trying to reassure that that's part of it. The buyers expect there to be, like say, unless it's a new build, they expect there to be some of those things like the hooks in the walls.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Ready, Set, Show, Rogue Valley, probably the most
frequently asked questions. Love
questions, it. So we appreciate it. How long in business? What was your first year like, and did you start small?
We're coming up on 6 years in business. Probably pretty close to it, depending on when the official start date is. The first year was, was Phoebe making all of the phone calls, going and meeting with agents, and it was basically it was. I was still working in my previous corporate role. I was doing all of the bookkeeping and what I needed to invoicing and those sorts of things. Sometimes at work, at my other work, when I shouldn't have been. Otherwise, outside of hours, and it was about spending as little as possible, or taking as little money out of the business as we could, so that we could reinvest it all. So it was all about bringing on the first stylist and then the second stylist in that first year, and then also getting as much of our inventory building as we could. So we started small. We started with artwork and accessories and linen and cushions and those sorts of things. And I think within that first year, probably 6 months in, we started getting some of the smaller furniture items as well, bedside tables, lamps, things that could fit in a car or a small van. So yeah, the first year was, probably looking back, it probably looked like it felt maybe a bit slow, but there was quite a bit of growth. By the end of that first year, we had.
Did it felt small?
No, well, maybe it didn't feel so
Every
small.
time a job locked in, I had to go buy all the
It
stuff.
probably didn't feel small at the time,
Yeah.
but looking back, it's probably maybe a little bit slow. But yeah, I think by the end of that first year, we probably had a couple of full-time stylists, and we didn't have the warehouse yet, but we had storage sheds starting to kind of fill up with smaller furniture. I don't know, was there a third part to that question?
I think if you look back when we're saying start small, how many jobs did we do?
It's a good question. I'd have to double check the numbers. It's too long
It
ago
was like-
now, yeah.
I started with one. When the first one locked in, that was like a 1-bedroom unit, and then it took a couple of weeks to lock in another one, and then
Yeah.
the ball started to roll a little bit faster. So we were doing like 3-ish a week.
Probably not even quite that, maybe
Yeah.
2 a week, something like
So
that.
it does start slow, but you need it
Yeah.
to start slow because otherwise that capital can't be there. So
Yeah.
it obviously depends on your business model. So
And I have actually done an episode sort of covering how you've grown the business. I believe it's pinned to the top of our YouTube channel. I forget what it's called, but it'll basically run you through a bit of the story, which you've touched on here. So thank you for the question. The next one's all about insurance. So it's from Hope. From their account is Everything by Design on Instagram. So brokers are suggesting I have my inventory insurance at the warehouse, but then also in the properties. This seems to be doubling up, to be paying all of the inventory cover both while it's in and out. Would love to know how you do it, and if you are aware of a company that provides cover where the vendor can opt for it. If so, would love to know any broker recommendations.
I guess the first, we can kind of talk a little bit about what we have from an insurance point of view, but I guess the first point to make there is that you really need to talk to an insurance broker yourself. Definitely don't so definitely don't take our word for it.
also ours is specific to Queensland
Yep.
and specific to Brisbane because I know that Townsville no longer offer insurance. No, there isn't an insurance company up there or Australia-wide that will offer insurance to the styling companies that are in Townsville. They're having a lot of trouble with it. So this is specific to Brisbane.
So we've got a couple of things set up, and I can't remember the exact terminology that they use or what it's called, but obviously we have our in-the-warehouse insurance, and then we have our part of the insurance that's kind of in transit and while it's out in the properties. And the reason that you have both, in terms of the question about doubling up, is that in the amount that you're insured for in your warehouse is going to be an amount that is adequate for, depending, like in this business is very cyclical. So right now we've got quite a lot of furniture, so we need to make sure that our insurance cyclical.
Cyclical?
Yep, cyclical, whatever.
Alright,
Someone
I'm gonna
correct
call
me.
you on that one.
So right now we need to make sure that our insurance covers as much as we've got in it, like in the warehouse right now. But obviously when we get busy and we empty out, that insurance is probably going to be over the top for what's in the warehouse. So that's the first thing, is you need to make sure that whatever that insurance amount is, or what you're covered for, it covers probably the period where you're quietest and you can have the most furniture here. The amount that we're covered for while out in a property is different, and it's not that we, I'm not even sure how to explain this, it's not that we're covered for all of the properties that are out. So right now we have about 125 houses out. We're not insured for all of them at one time. We're insured for a particular property, and that insurance covers any property. So if a property floods tomorrow, we're insured for that property. And then if another one has fire damage a week later, that's a separate claim on the same policy. Whereas if you had, we kind of had this.
Did we change this after the last lot of floods?
No, so we had, so the problem that we had, or potential problem we nearly had, was that when we had the flooding recently,
Occur across, like this time last year.
So the risk was that we had 10 properties at the same time from the same event have damage, and the policy doesn't cover them separately because it's all one event. So that's where we kind of needed to talk to our insurance broker and make sure that a single event covered enough of the properties at the same time.
We were unbelievably fortunate that out of all the properties, it was
yeah.
just one that we had flood that day. Like that was just.
Yep. In terms of recommendations, we've got, we could probably put a link somewhere, I guess, Melissa Burgess, who is at Sunshine Coast Insurance Brokers, I think it's called. And she's been looking after us for pretty much from the start.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're through the Allianz Small Business Insurance. I don't know if that's still available. I don't know if I don't know the circumstances to it, but she's phenomenal and understands our industry very, very well.
Yep.
Follow-up question. What happens if items go missing? Recently had outdoor accessories disappear, decided to write them off, as don't think it's the vendor's fault. Would like to know what you would do in this situation.
The same?
Yeah, right on.
It's obviously it depends on what goes missing. Is it worth doing an insurance claim over accessories? No, it's the same as if they break, fall down, that sort of thing, a lamp being broken in transit by myself, all those sorts of things. That's the cost of this industry that we are in. If it's an entire outdoor lounge suite that goes missing, that's a different story. But we've had throw rugs that have disappeared, those sorts of things. It happens.
We don't like it, but it's
If there's
easier,
consistency there, that's different.
It's the same reason we don't, from an inventory tracking point of view, we track all of our furniture and the bigger items, but there's a reason that we don't bother tracking individual accessory items, because the time cost of trying to set that up and maintain it and check things in and out was just going to be more of a waste than what the value we get out of it.
So we do a more of a photography.
Yep, and we accept that we're going to lose things or have things damaged from time to time.
I don't know what this name is. No Gurani? Sorry if I'm pronouncing it. I definitely am pronouncing it incorrectly. What are the main questions you ask in an interview?
Oh, I'm not giving those secrets away.
We can talk about what, without telling exactly. Well,
there's a
tell
reason.
them why
There's a
you're
reason.
not.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I have 3 questions. So in a stylist interview, I don't know if you did the same in a media or a logistics.
Similar.
Yeah. So in our admin as well as the stylist interviews that we've just recently done, actually always done, I have 3 questions that I ask. The questions I ask are not expertise based, they're not getting their background, they are to figure out the type of person they are. We obviously, to us, team culture is imperative and we want to get the right person in. And I want somebody who's loud and vibrant and basically like a little me. And I need to figure out if they are. So somebody who's going to answer the questions in a certain way gets a foot up compared to somebody who answers the questions differently. Hence why I can't tell you the secret.
And I'll tell you, that is why we asked for your star sign.
Yeah, sure, that's Jake's favourite
Start
question.
talking about star signs and I'm there and you cut. Well, hang on, I'm going to give them a little bit more because
Oh, you
I
are?
think, well, as in the question that we don't want to tell you exactly what it is, the
No,
type
there's 3 questions.
yeah, no, but there's one in particular that we don't want to say, and the reason is it's supposed to be a question that we kind of put you on the spot a little bit, and the point is you're not going to be prepared to know, there is no knowing the answer beforehand. We're kind of putting you on the spot and seeing how you deal with it. So the point of that is, the reason we're not telling you is because we don't want somebody to come in knowing that we're going to ask it.
Okay, here's one
But
that's
it's a
similar
test.
sort of thing. So I was at our elite retreat last year, and there was an icebreaker question they had for the table. So they're like, you've just purchased a lease for a warehouse, and you've gone in and you've got 300,000 tea bags without the string. What are you doing with those tea bags?
Damn, that is a good question.
So that's the sort of, like, you're under the pressure, you're expected to ask quickly, answer quickly. I'm obviously sitting there watching you, just seeing what you come up with.
What would you guys do in that situation?
You'd sell. People,
For what? Sell them for what?
You
Who's going to buy tea bags?
Go to Woolworths. You can buy tea bags without the string.
Oh, you can actually, that's true.
They're
You
just
can,
like
that's the thing.
teapots.
Well, they came up with things like
Well done, Jake. You got the
doing
tea.
like a cucumber for your eyes, and
300,000 tea bags for.
well, someone
your
said
eyes.
empty them out and take out the tea, but then use the little strainer bags and sell them to hairdressers for them to use for certain.
okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'd
that
throw,
was some inventive ideas.
I'd throw them in the
I
bin.
feel like my is a bit easier.
Sounds like a waste of time.
Yeah. Okay.
You fail. We wouldn't employ you.
No, just put them up. Just put them up in marketplace. See what you get.
Marketplace.
There you go. You might get a green.
Can I,
for it.
can I give him one more of the?
Oh,
I actually want
go on then.
to. So one of the questions that you ask, I'm going to actually say what it is because I don't think it matters. But I think the reason I want to say it is because it's a really good one.
Okay.
Because often in these sort of interviews, like say you're trying to figure out who a person is, what they're like, their personality, and if you ask somebody to describe themselves, they go into kind of sales mode. They use words that they think you want to hear a lot of the time. So the way that we ask basically the same question, but in a way that we found gets better answers, is we say, how would your best friend describe you? Because it kind of puts the person in somebody else's shoes. So just how they think about themselves probably changes, and how they describe themselves changes. So we've found that asking it that way gets a better response, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Very cool. That's probably all the questions for now. Again, you guys are doing very well keeping the podcast going, so I'm just going to save questions for next time. Again, they're questions that the AI came up with.
We talk too much.
No, it's good. My
Right.
aim is to make the podcast at least like 15 minutes long, and we've achieved that, so that's good.
Right.
Under and overrated section,
Yep.
for zombie movies / TV shows, under or overrated?
Overrated for me.
Overrated.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the latest TV show called The Last of Us?
No, you told me about it.
Really
We
good.
are watching Jack Reacher.
Yeah, there's no zombies in that.
No, we're not. That's not what we're watching.
Oh,
We're
What are we
watching Jack
watching?
Ryan.
Jack Ryan.
Oh, that's really good.
Jack
yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah,
We're
Jack
watching
Ryan.
Jack.
Yeah.
It's not Jack Reacher.
No, it's not.
Oh.
No, there is a
Keep going.
difference.
Is
Yeah.
that his name?
No,
Oh.
it's not.
We're
Yeah, I
just two
know.
sheets, isn't it? I don't even know what we're watching.
That's a completely different one that we're going to watch next.
Yeah. No, you're watching the one with what's he? Ted
John Krasinski.
Krasinski. Yeah, it's a really good show, that one, on Amazon.
No zombies.
Ducted Aircon.
Oh,
Underrated.
yep, that.
Yeah.
Underrated.
Yeah, love it.
You want it.
Yeah. We got,
Actually, in Queensland, I don't actually. It's
Yeah.
necessity.
City Views.
For me, overrated. Not that I don't like them, but for the increased price and how much
Underrated
people
if
get
I'm
it.
not paying for the property.
Yeah.
Do you ever see them advertise City Views and then it's like
City glimpses.
you can barely see it? You have to like
Stand
stand
on
on
your
your
tippy
tippy
toes.
toes. Have you seen that done?
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
Like, people do
So
that.
we had one where we had to position a bed in a certain way,
yeah.
so that which is where you would never ever position
Yeah.
a bed, because they wanted to be able to say river views
Yeah.
and city glimpses. This is in Fairfield.
Yeah.
So yes, you could, if you stood on the bed, you could see the city out the window.
That's a bit cheeky, isn't it?
Yeah,
Bunnings sausage sizzle.
overrated.
Underrated.
I don't like sausages very
I
much.
don't get it very often, but when I do, I'm pretty excited.
Last one, Pillow Talk.
Oh.
Just as a general store. For,
Overrated. I
Yeah.
spend a lot of money there. No, underrated.
Yeah,
like as in I
underrated.
like it a lot.
yeah.
Man, I struggle with this thing.
Seriously, since day one,
We
you have
need to-
not got the concept.
Let's
So
change
pretty
it to.
straightforward
Let's just
concept,
change it to good or bad.
No, I
think
like
she
it.
doesn't
I
get
like
it.
it.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for that one.
And back
I
to
don't have an
Jess,
opinion.
now that I've recognised who said hi to us before, right at home staging, Jess Dwyer. I haven't spoken to Jess in years,
Oh.
so I hope you're very, very well. I don't know if you saw the podcast, but
I also hope you're well, Jess.
you.
Me
I don't think you've met Jess.
Yeah, we even
Yeah,
so
that's-
just at the conference I interviewed just on the podcast years ago.
Oh,
There you go.
there you go.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. Jake, putting you on the spot. Are we going to see a new podcast soon from you?
We sure are.
Cool.
Do you want to commit
It's a
him
very
to a
vague
time
no.
frame?
We're
What,
saying
yeah,
yes
what are
or
we
no.
talking like?
Yeah, right. He
In the
was-
month of February,
Alright,
are we
guys,
going
thanks for
to
listening.
see an
Let's wrap
episode
this up.
in the month of February where you are a more interview-based podcast?
Yeah.
Yep, awesome. lock him in, guys.
I do
Well,
wanna
thanks again
say,
for listening. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you.
And see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's turn Facebook